scratch below your eye.
Oh, a dog bit me. Uncle Paul's dog.
Right here.
Oh, that's just part of the sun. It's from the sun.
Part of what?
It's from the sun.
Really?
Okay.
Okay, Mary Pat. Front and center.
You're in an interview, Grandma. You're on spinning.
Grandma, who was your favorite teacher in school and why? In what grade?
Oh, my geometry teacher was my favorite teacher.
Why?
She was so smart and she was so good to us. And she used to teach in Minneapolis. And at that time, Minneapolis had a rule that they had to retire at 60 years old. So 3 of the teachers from Minneapolis came out to our small town, and they were such good teachers because they had a lot of experience. But I absolutely loved geometry and algebra.
Do you remember her name? Or his name?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
Mrs. Schellenberger was one. She was the English teacher, but the geometry teacher was Mrs. Johnson.
Okay.
Maybe that's where you got your mathematical genes from, Ryan.
What was your first job after high school? Describe what you did and your co-workers.
You know, I signed up to be a nurse because you could go to college without paying any tuition and they would pay your board and room because the war was still on. So I signed up for the war, and they were really short of nurses because so many of the nurses had to take care of all the veterans that were hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, I decided that I would go to work at the bank just to get some money to hold me over. Well, I liked my job at the bank, and I ended up not going to nursing school, and I was sorry now that I didn't. But anyhow, that was my first job, and I think I was there for 8 years.
Did you ever pull any pranks at your job at the bank?
Yeah.
Can you describe some?
Banks have clearinghouses, you know, like the Federal Reserve, and our bank was a big bank, but we had to deliver a lot of material over to the Federal Reserve Bank. And one day, we had a new fellow in our department that had been hired, and his dad was one of the Pillsbury people from Pillsbury Mills.
Yep.
And so we sent him on an errand. We sent him over to another bank, telling him that he had to pick up a clearinghouse key. Well, there was no such thing as a clearinghouse key. And so he came back and he said there was no clearinghouse key. So we gave him another another job to go. So this time he went to Marquette Bank, I remember, and he was supposed to talk to somebody at the Federal Reserve. Well, the Marquette Bank was not the Federal Reserve. So anyhow, he got tired of that and he went out and got drunk. He didn't come back to our department at all. This is a true story.
Kind of sounds like the guy in It's a Wonderful Life where he loses the money.
Oh, I kind of forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we didn't get to pull too many pranks after that because he was really upset.
Okay.
Once he sobered up, he was
So
gone.
Millie, when you worked at the bank, didn't you used to go down and listen to like music somewhere?
I'm sorry?
Didn't you go down somewhere to listen to music at your lunch break or something? Where you would go listen to opera or something? I can't remember what you said.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, at that time, there was a great big wide opening from the bank going into the big department store. It was called Donaldson's. And a couple of the gals and I used to go over to Donaldson's and we'd go up to the music department. And the lady was really nice there, and we'd get these, not 45s, 78.
Oh yeah.
And we'd listen to operas, like
Okay. Yeah.
Carmen and
Oh yeah.
some of those good operas.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's how we would spend our lunch
Oh, yeah.
hour. And another time we went to one of the sales that was at the Donaldson store.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have to go outside or anything, but they were having a big sale on. So one of the girls from the bank lifted up something, oh, I really like this.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then another girl from the bank pulled on from the other side of the table and said, I like it too, and I'm taking it home with me. And they got into this big argument, but they were really bank employees.
Oh,
So they were just being smart alecks. I'm not sure if I was one of them or not. I think I probably was.
I remember my parents used to have some 78s they would listen to.
7th and 8th grade.
78s, you know, the records.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they used to listen to the Grand Canyon Suite, you know, by Tchaikovsky.
We used to listen to La Traviata,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and we knew all the songs to Carmen.
Oh, yeah.
We knew all the words and everything. And I have a CD with Carmen, the Carmen songs on. So Grandpa left, huh? Well, there's only 1 point difference between the two.
Yeah, it must have been good luck that we turned the sound down.
Grandma, what were your road trips like that you took with your girlfriends before you got married?
What was
Oh, yeah, Wisconsin's ahead.
Got it. Grandma's taking.
I know, but we gotta add a little excitement to it.
Okay.
There's only 5 minutes left in the game. Why don't you wait and finish the interview then?
Grandma's road
I
trips.
don't know. We want to hear about your road trips with your girlfriends before you got married.
My girlfriend?
Well, I took
When you went down to Florida?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had never been out of the state of Minnesota. I had never traveled anywhere because we didn't have any money. But anyway, a couple of the girls at the bank decided that they would take a trip to Florida, and I was the only one that had a car. So we drove down to Florida. There were 4 of us, and we just had a ball. We just had such a good time, everything that we did. So I decided that I really kind of liked that,
Mm-hmm.
and I was only 20 years old. So I
What about
decided,
the fellow from the grocery store?
yep. So I was dating a fellow that owned a corner grocery store. But then in the meantime, we took another trip to Seattle, and we just had a blast. I had 2 brothers and a sister that were living in Seattle. They went out there during the war because they worked on some of the war materials.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my sister Lucille was a riveter, and she was helping build battleships. And anyway, that did it though. When I went out west and had such a good time, I decided I wasn't ready to get married. So, in the meantime, I had gotten engaged, but I ended up giving him back the ring. And he was teary. He was a nice fellow, and my family just loved him. But I didn't. I had more fun than I ever had in the 12 years of high school. I mean, 12 years of school. Not 12 years of
Grandma,
high
is there
school. I
something
thought
you
I
want to
should have
tell
had.
us?
Grandma was a very smart student.
No, I wasn't. I was on the upper
Yes,
third.
your English teacher told you you were her smartest ever.
Oh my, see, that was a wonderful thing that happened to us when we got these teachers from Minneapolis, because they were very, very smart, very well, very used to teaching the grades that we were in at the time they came out. So, but the algebra teacher was the best one. She'd stay after school and help us, and I always got an A in algebra. But English was a tough subject for me. We had a good English teacher, but I had tough trouble with some of the things in English.
Describe your vacations at Big Island.
Oh, Lord. They were such fun. You know, we had 16 people. There were 8 couples. Well, but that included some children. But anyhow, on Big Island, we had to take a boat to get there, but in the meantime, Grandpa and I bought a boat. And so, the first year we went there, we just had kind of a little outboard boat that didn't go very fast. We had trouble pulling the steers. But then the next summer when we went, there was, I think, 16 of us all together, and we just had a blast. But the nice part about it was that it was very sandy shore all around this island. So we could go on the side where the sun was shining and ski from that side. And if it was cool outside, I
Someone's
just,
not paying attention.
if it was cool outside, then we could go to the other side of the island and do the water skiing on that side.
Okay.
But we had a lot of it. And an elderly couple, there was a big pavilion, and an elderly
Georgetown's
couple
falling apart.
cooked all the meals for us. And they rang the meal bell at 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you wanted breakfast, you have to go down to the big hall where we had breakfast. They were very, very nice people. But they worked there they fixed our breakfast, our lunch, and our dinner. And they were very inexpensive.
What are your favorite flowers, and which of your houses had your favorite gardens?
Which of my houses, what?
Had your favorite gardens, and what were your favorite flowers?
Well, this is probably the one with the best gardens, but this is not my favorite house. Our favorite
Oh,
house,
do you think that the juniper gardens were your favorite, Grandma?
they could have been.
I don't want to say, but I just know you love those juniper gardens and the rock garden you built. At Juniper, the rock garden?
Yes, you're right. And that rock garden was there. One of the officers from the air base that was still in operation then, that was his outlet to take care of the flowers and keep everything watered and that. So he had a great big St. Bernard, which was kind of hard on the flowers. But one day I was working in the rock garden, and I jumped from the rock garden down to the flagstaff
Patio?
patio. And it was no more than 12 inches, but when I jumped down, I broke 3 bones in my foot.
I have memories of Grandma just speeding along the house in a chair with wheels with your foot elevated, so
Right.
you could keep up with us.
And if I had to go down in the basement, because the kids were too small to do laundry, if I had to go down in the basement, I would sit down at the top step and then I'd scoot down on my
Oh,
butt.
dear me.
It worked.
It worked.
Just, what is the best thing about being Irish?
The Irish,
What's the best thing about being Irish?
well, the Irish are a lot of fun. They have a habit of drinking too much, but they like to have a good time, and they're very generous people. And like if you were to go to Ireland, everybody that's been there tells me that they have never met so many helpful, generous, friendly people. So I never did get to go there, but we talked about it. But then we had these 3 little kids, so we couldn't go.
Why did you marry Grandpa?
Because he was the only one I could find.
Oh, that's not true. What about the grocery?
It was the process of elimination.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why did I marry Grandpa? I don't know.
What about your first date on New Year's Eve? Tell us that.
What about my first date on what?
On New Year's Eve.
Yeah, that's where I met Lynn. 2 other girls. Well, one of them was my roommate, and we lived with a mother whose husband had passed away, and she didn't have a car, so they invited me to move in with her, and her name was Ma Patty, and she was a very, very nice person.
Is that why you named my dad Patrick?
Pardon?
Never mind. Go on.
Okay. So anyhow, it worked out very well because Ma Patty didn't have a car, and I could take her places and take her grocery shopping and everything. And I lived there until probably about 6 years.
Now, what was your first car?
Oh, a 33 Oldsmobile.
33 Olds? Yeah.
Yep. And my mother hated to ride to town in it because it looked like a hearse.
Oh, okay.
What's your favorite?
So you always like GM cars, Buicks and Oldsmobiles and
Well,
stuff?
see, it was still during the war, Kev, so we didn't have any choice.
Oh, yeah.
And this 33 Olds belonged to one of my girlfriend's father,
Oh, yeah.
and he was getting rid of it. But you couldn't buy a tire, and the tires were so bad on the car. We'd drive back and forth to Minneapolis, and we would have a flat tire every single day.
Oh, wow. Huh. So
And
you learned how to patch the tires and stuff?
we learned how to change tires. We could change them faster than a lot of the people that stopped to help us.
Wow. Wow.
But anyhow, we became very proficient at that, Kev.
Wow.
But we had truck tires on the back of that 33 old.
Now, did that have a stick shift, so you learned how to
Oh
do it?
yeah, it had a stick shift.
Yeah. Yeah, because automatics really didn't get invented until the 40s almost.
My first car was a 39 Chevy though.
Yeah,
No, the Oldsmobile was my first car.
yeah.
Yeah. Then I graduated
How many people could sit in it?
in the 33 olds.
Yeah.
Oh, 7.
You could get 7 people in there comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Grandma, what's your favorite childhood book?
What's my favorite child? What?
Childhood book. Childhood book.
What book did you read when you were a child? Or in school, what was your favorite book? In school, did you have a favorite book with your English teacher?
I can't remember what it was.
Did you like Winnie the Pooh? Did you ever read that when you were a kid?
No.
Oh.
Why is my dad your favorite child?
Oh, I didn't remember that question.
No, I didn't remember that either, to tell you the truth. I think I would just say that they're all 4 are the same.
Oh, no.
I got 4 really good kids, and I'm very grateful.
What
Well,
do you-
anyway, 2 of the girls that I worked with at the bank and I decided on New Year's Eve that we would go downtown and see what kind of parties they're having. So we went downtown. Actually, it was about a half a dozen girls from the bank. And that's where I met Lynn. And he and a fellow named Joe were both in the Air Force at the time. And they were really good friends, so we got to be friends with Joe and his wife.
Lynn told us that on your first date, that the girls got to pick which guy they went with or something. Is that true?
I never heard that.
Oh.
But Joe was an Italian fellow, and he was pretty short.
Oh, okay.
So I guess Len was a little taller, so.
Oh, yeah. You went for the tall and dark, handsome guy.
Joe was handsome too, but he was a nice guy. But he worked for DuPont Engineering in Niagara Falls,
Oh, okay.
and he died rather young. But his wife told me that his wife was one of my roommates at
Oh,
Mark
yeah.
Patty's house.
Oh, yeah.
But they thought that he died early because of all the chemicals he worked with at the DuPont plant.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they were one of the first companies that made gunpowder.
Make what?
Gunpowder.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. They were known for making gunpowder.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, Ruthie and I still hear from each other at Christmas time, and she was a very good person. She helped take care of her husband's father until he passed away. For 2 years they took care of him. And some of their kids grew up and had little kids, and then Ruthie ended up taking care of some of those kids. Oh dear, that was so close.
Oh, they're giving him 3 points.
Number one rule, you never foul on a three-point shot.
Do you think he really fouled the guy? I mean, he tipped the ball.
He hit him actually after he shot the ball, so.
Why don't fall?
Okay, am I done?
Nope.
Hmm.
What do you want your grandkids to know?
What do I want my grandchildren to know?
Ooh, it's gonna
Yeah,
come
I
down
like
to
them
the
very
last
much.
shot here.
And they grew up too fast, because I used to have fun playing with them when they were small and young. But, I got
Wisconsin makes
7 of the best
3,
grandchildren you could ever
they
ask
win the
for.
game.
What are some of your proudest moments in life?
I'm sorry?
What are some of your proudest moments in life?
Um, I don't know, but Len and I bought several houses that we repaired and fixed them up, and then we resold them. And I think we bought probably 5 houses and fixed them up and sold them. And we did that with 5 different houses, and then we finally ended up, we would sell every one, but then we finally ended up getting enough, selling enough houses to buy another house that had no mortgage.
What would make this a better country?
Oh dear. What would make this a better country?
That's philosophical.
Very good questions, Amy.
Grandpa running for president?
Well, if more people would pay attention to the people that are so good and so peaceful, and instead of always trying to be the richest ones or the ones that kind of broke a lot of the rules and a lot of laws.
Mm-hmm. Who were your best friends growing up?
Who were my best friends?
Oh,
growing up?
man!
Wisconsin won.
Wow.
How much? By 65 to 3 points. Wow. Well, then you can come out of your little den now.
No best friends? Were you lonely growing up?
You look kind of tired, Pat. Well, Kim should be here any minute.
I think Amy has some
You
more
know,
questions for you, Grandma.
I really enjoyed taking care of
Did
people.
you talk
Amy.
at all about your job that you had driving the kids around, the handicapped kids?
Oh, Miss Millie.
Yeah, I was Miss Millie. I drove a little van with handicapped children, and I fell in love with those kids. They were so special. They were, you know, they weren't disabled physically, but they were mentally.
Mm-hmm.
They
And
had Down syndrome, right, Mom?
one of them, 2 of them had Down syndrome, yes. But one boy and one girl were brother and sister, and they used to always be ready when I would come. They lived out by Stoughton,
Oh, yeah.
and when I'd come to pick them up, they were always right there and ready. But one time, they weren't out waiting for me, and their mother was really hustling them along, you know. So we got to the school. I always walked into the school with them, and all the way into the school after they got off the bus, and this little kid, I suppose, was tired of being yelled at, and then he got behind me and he said, "Get a move on you, Miss Millie." And I knew that that was what his mother was saying to him, you know, trying to get him out of the house and on the bus.
That's funny.
But the teachers actually were the ones that gave me that name, but Helen still calls me Miss Millie lots of times. But anyhow, there were quite a few older people in our neighborhood that I really enjoyed helping out. You know, one elderly lady across the street, and she was very severely handicapped. But these kids were smart, you know. One day, one of the mothers said, now, I'm going to have a doctor appointment, and I might be a little bit late getting back. Do you think if I didn't get back in time that you could stay with her, with Marie, until I got back? And I said, oh, sure, no problem. So we stopped at a little convenience store, and I said, why don't you pick out a treat, because your mother isn't going to be home for an hour. So she picked out a Twinkie, and she ate one of them, and I said, what are you going to do with the other one? And she said, well, the other one's for Anne Marie, because she had Down syndrome really bad.
Oh, okay.
But she wouldn't eat that second one until the next day. Or no, she gave it to Anne Marie. But they were so thoughtful about each other.
Well, that's nice. So, Millie, what was the highest bowling game that you ever had?
Oh, Kevin, probably about 210.
210?
Uh-huh.
Wow, that was a good game.
Very seldom I got that high.
Wow. Wow.
But I did like it.
Yeah. You were in a bowling league, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that with the church league, or was that a different league?
No, it was just a neighborhood league, and one of my friends, Helen Leary, that I still am good friends with,
Oh, yeah.
she asked me if I'd like to join the bowling league, and I said sure.
Wow.
And
Well, you must have been a pretty good bowler to get a 210.
I got a 210, but Kevin, that was not my average. My average was more like probably 160.
Still, that's a good average. Yeah, that's pretty good.
I was never a really good bowler.
Now, did the bowling league women, did they drink beer at the bowling alley at all?
Mm-mm.
They didn't?
But there were a lot of smokers, though.
A lot of smokers?
Yeah. So it was, you didn't realize it so much until you got out of there, and then if you went back in, it just smelled so bad from cigarettes.
Now, what bowling alley did you?
Right
bowl
over
at?
here in Village Lanes.
Village Lanes, okay,
Mhm.
sure. All right. They're still open there, aren't they?
Yes,
They're over there by the, for Boney's?
yes, exactly.
Well,
Now, did you have your own bowling ball and shoes and
Mhm.
everything? Oh, yeah.
I did.
So did you use like a 12-pounder?
No, I used a 10-pounder.
10-pounder, 10-pounder, okay. Well, if you were a Wisconsin girl, then you would have been able to use a 12-pounder.
Probably.
Boy, I never thought they'd do it, you know, or Mary.
They
You know
almost-
what?
they almost-
I should've gotten
Oh, here
tickets to
comes
the
Kim.
Duke game for Pat and Kim.
Unlock the door and let him in.
All right, is that a wrap, Amy?
Unlocked.
It's a wrap. You did a
Okay, Amy, what's the date
fabulous
today?
job.
it's Thanksgiving. It's November 27th, 2014.
My sister